Headline, FBI entrap Baltimore bomb plot suspect. No way Antonio Martinez could have assembled the phony bomb intended to blow up recruitment centers, defense says. That was just back on December 13th of last year, less than a month ago. And we saw the same thing in Oregon and many, many other states in the last few months with these provocateur actions. It isn't the FBI infiltrating already operating groups. They go out and find low-grade morons, converts to Islam, people that are always, posing with their wife, in Islamic outfit with guns, acting cartoonish, buffoonish, right out of Central Casting. Same thing with Viper Militia. When I saw some of their members, the way they were shooting videos, the way they shot them, I went on air 7 months before it happened, out of 400-plus known militias, and I said, that group's infiltrated by feds, and they're getting ready to set them up. The Hatari militia, a year and a half ago or so, I first exposed it, and then later it came out 7 months later. So back in 2009, I warned people, and then in 2010, 7 months later, that happened. With the Hatari militia, good people in the Hatari militia, I pointed out on air that they had clearly been infiltrated, and on air warned them, and even had Pale Horse on, of course, another allusion to death, and basically asked him, are you a Fed? Because you sure act like one, you sure look like one, right out of Central Casting. And I don't know if he's a Fed or not, or was being manipulated by the Fed, but it's still sealed. They ordered the Hatari released, of course, months after they'd been set up and lied about. And it came out that they did have an FBI informant and agent in the group of less than 14. And we still don't know who those agents are, or who recorded the leader of Hatari simply saying, yeah, if the whole country collapses and they send in, UN troops to take our guns, we'll have to fight back. Well, I mean, I've said on air that I'm not going to a FEMA camp. I've said on air I would fight foreign occupation. I mean, who wouldn't? Whether you were Japanese, Chinese, Russian, British, Canadian, American, Mexican, Iraqi, for that matter. And we, day one, came out and said, this is a stage, this is a setup, release them. And I said, of course, we fingered this group as clearly being manipulated by the statements and things coming out, and that probably those making the statements were the informants. And then a strange thing happened in Michigan. Some of the militia groups, obviously infiltrated and led by feds, got completely angry and said, how dare Alex Jones say Hatari's been infiltrated? This is before it happened. Then once they got set up, how dare him say they've been infiltrated? Alex is saying all militias are feds and militias are bad. So that's a straw man. And they're counting on kind of lowest common denominator people buying into it. I mean, the same thing will happen with this, but it's a good example for you to learn that I just said the Hatari militia was good, but that they were set up. And, of course, I was right about that even before it happened. Not just when it happened, I said they were set up and it was all a fraud. And then it was confirmed that was the case, and the judge ordered them released, and, the case is now blown to bits because it was all a massive fraud. And then people will say again that I'm saying all militias are bad or that all militias are run by feds. No, I said there are infiltrators, and anybody who tries to deny that, anyone who tries to imply that that is not the case, that's like saying the sun doesn't affect weather on the planet, like the UN says. I mean, it's just on its face comical. There are other classic straw men. I don't know why I'm going down this rabbit trail, but it's always informative. Whatever rabbit trail we go down, that people put out the straw man that I supported the flotilla attack that Israel did on that aid ship when we decried it and criticized it ad nauseum. Or that I said that if you criticize Israel, you're mentally ill and bad. Never said that. People that attack me with that, ineffectively, of course, unless low-grade morons are fooled by it, but that's their lot in life. I'm sad for them. They weren't gifted with any intellect. The very videos they use is where I say, I don't say you're an idiot if you criticize Israel. I say you're an idiot if you say that I work for Israel or that I work for the Vatican or the Masons or anybody else. So that's how people operate. And you've got to know, in most of these cases, these people are bought and paid for. I mean, more and more I analyze it and look at it, the tactics I see are exactly what confirmed feds do and exactly what the mainstream media does with straw man operations. But the way I went down that rabbit trail was pointing out that you're going to see more and more staged attacks. But if the staged attack has too many whistleblowers on the inside, they will pull back from it. And then we'll stop hyping it. And that's the real mark of this, what we see going on in Maryland with the two packages that blew up at state offices that were being sorted on their way reportedly to the governor's office. We're now seeing almost no news on this, and they're not hyping it and fear-mongering. Now, that means one of two things. It could be a few other things, but two big things that the probability studies and research shows 90% chance it's one of those two things, just to give you a dead reckoning number. A, these were real terror attacks, because the rule of thumb is real terror attacks are not hyped, are not promoted. Or they had provocateurs in there running this, and a good FBI agent or state police or others have recorded it and have tried to release it. And we saw that in '93 with the first World Trade Center attack, where their own informant knew they were setting him up, so he recorded the FBI telling him, no, go ahead with the bombing. Well, you said it was going to be inert. Then you said build a real one. Then you said a fake detonator. Now it's a real detonator. Now you're going to go ahead with it? No. And then that guy, the day it happened, came out with the tapes, did a press conference, and it hit CBS News, New York Times, and a bunch of other news, and the feds just totally backed off, and just you heard nothing about World Trade Center attack after that, and they went on to start Waco as a smokescreen for it a few months later. Again, I've studied these people. I know how they operate. And so this whole Maryland situation is very, very suspicious, obviously, and we'll continue to watch it. Now, I'll tell you what else is suspicious in this larger equation, and that is murdered Bush aide was an expert in chemical, biological, and cyber warfare, had highest security clearances. I mean, this guy ran everything. Maryland, D.C. Amtrak, Chairman, CEO, Mothers of Drunk Driving, Chairman, Vietnam Veterans Memorial, President, CEO, Vietnam Children's Fund. I mean, I don't have an hour to read all this. West Point, Special Ops, from day one in the early 60s or mid-60s, assigned to the Defense Secretary, Harvard, Cambridge, systems analyst, that's RAND Corporation, strategic programs, Office of Secretary of Defense. I mean, this is right out of West Point in '67. Just everything. He ran the nuclear Nike Hercules missile sites. This guy was a master gopher. He was a super class. He was part of the 6,000 super gophers, and they killed him deader than a hammer. In fact, going over this, it looks like he might be in the top 1,000 gophers or even more. One of those quiet guys you really don't hear a lot about. Murdered Bush aide was